Imagine armor so advanced it blurred the line between myth and reality, turning ordinary soldiers into legends. These incredible creations vanished mysteriously but left a legacy that shaped battlefields for centuries. One could repair itself while being worn, another used silk so strong it stopped arrows like modern Kevlar, and yet another could make warriors stronger and nearly unstoppable in combat. Today, we will uncover 5 of the most unbelievable armor pieces, each one more astonishing than the last. Armor Piece 1. The Mystery Metal. These weren't just shields and helmets. These were innovations so radical, they turned peasants into killing machines and toppled empires overnight. The year is 1500 BC. You're a soldier watching an enemy warrior walk straight through a storm of arrows. Not dodging, not hiding, just walking. Every arrow bounces off him like rain. This actually happened. The Mycenaeans had discovered something nobody else knew existed. A way to turn bronze into something virtually indestructible. But here's where it gets weird. Archaeological records show this armor vanished completely. Every single piece. As if someone wanted to erase it from history. Why? The armor was called the Dendra Panoply. Full-body bronze, articulated at every joint. You could do backflips in this thing. Archaeologists tested reconstructions. A man in full Dendra armor could sprint, climb, even swim. Each piece was hammered from single sheets of bronze. No weak points. No seams. The technique was so advanced, we couldn't replicate it until the 1960s. But the real innovation wasn't the metal. It was the psychological warfare. Imagine facing an army where every soldier looks identical, invincible, inhuman. The armor had a specific design feature that made warriors appear taller, broader. Like gods of war, enemy armies would break formation before the battle even started. Chronicles describe soldiers throwing down weapons at the mere sight of these bronze warriors approaching. The Mycenaeans conquered most of Greece without fighting major battles. Just showing up was enough. Then something strange happened. Every civilization that faced them started developing something new. A weapon specifically designed to counter this armor. And it worked so well, it made the Dendra obsolete within a generation. That weapon? The rapier-like sword. Thin enough to slip between plates. The arms race had begun. But here's the twist. The Mycenaeans knew this would happen. They were already working on something else. Something that would make armor irrelevant. They never got to finish it. The Bronze Age collapse hit first. Every piece of Dendra armor was melted down. Except one. Hidden in a tomb, waiting 3,000 years to be discovered. When archaeologists found it, they noticed something that shouldn't exist. Modern tool marks. Someone had modified it. Recently, testing revealed the modifications were made with techniques from the Renaissance period. Someone, 500 years ago, found this armor and tried to reverse engineer it. They failed, but their attempts led to something else. Documents in Vatican archives mention a devil's armor that appeared in northern Italy around 1510. Witnesses claimed arrows passed through the wearer without touching them. This wasn't magic. It was physics. The armor used angled plates that created optical illusions. Enemies literally couldn't aim properly. Their brains couldn't process where the armor ended and air began. The Catholic Church banned it, called it witchcraft. Every piece was supposedly destroyed. But the principle survived. And 300 years later, someone perfected it. That someone was Napoleon's personal armor. He created exactly 3 sets. Napoleon wore one at Waterloo. The other 2 vanished. Until 2019, when one appeared at a private auction. The buyer? Anonymous. The price? $4.7 million. But here's the strange part. They didn't want the armor. They wanted what was hidden inside it. A map, etched into the interior plates. The map led to a burial site in Japan. What they found there was the second armor piece that changed history. And this one could stop bullets. In 400 AD, Armor Piece 2, the impossible defense. 400 years after Christ, Japanese smiths created something that modern science says shouldn't exist. They called it Oyoroi, but that's not what made it special. It was what they put underneath it. Silk armor, 30 layers thick. Mongol arrows, The most feared projectiles of the ancient world couldn't penetrate it. The silk would wrap around the arrowhead, catching it like a net. You could pull arrows out without injury. But that was just the beginning. The samurai discovered if you soak the silk in a specific solution, the recipe is still classified by the Japanese government. It became harder than steel when struck. Modern tests are insane. This treated silk can stop low-velocity bullets. Think about that. Fabric armor from 400 AD that performs like modern Kevlar. Except it was also completely flexible until the moment of impact. The Mongols conquered everything from China to Europe. Except Japan. Not because of storms. Not because of divine wind. Because their arrows were useless. Their entire military doctrine, horse archers, was countered by silk. But here's what historians don't tell you. The Mongols captured Japanese armor. Studied it. Tried to replicate it. They couldn't. The silk treatment process required something found only in Japan. Spider silk. From a specific spider that exists nowhere else. The jaw spider. Its silk is 5 times stronger than regular silk. The samurai were farming these spiders in secret locations. Anyone who revealed these locations faced execution. Even family members. One samurai lord, Minamoto Yoshitsune, wore armor with 47 layers of treated jaw silk under steel plates. Historical records claim he was shot with over 100 arrows in a single battle. He walked away, uninjured. His enemies thought he was immortal. Started a cult around him. The psychological impact was devastating. Entire armies would surrender rather than face someone who couldn't be killed. But Yoshitsune had a secret. The armor was slowly poisoning him. The spider silk treatment contained mercury. Every samurai who wore this armor eventually went insane. They called it the warrior's madness. They kept wearing it anyway, because they'd discovered something else. In their madness, these warriors fought without fear, without hesitation. They became more dangerous as they deteriorated. The armor wasn't just protection. It was a transformation. Modern analysis of preserved armor shows mercury levels that would kill a normal person in hours. But mixed with other compounds in the treatment, it created a slow-release effect. Like a combat drug that lasted years. The formula was lost when the last spider farm was destroyed in 1543. But recently, a Japanese university claimed they've partially decoded it. They won't publish their findings. The military applications are too dangerous. What they did reveal. The process involved something else. Something that shouldn't have been known in 400 AD. Graphene. Or at least, a primitive form of it. The spiders were fed specific minerals that caused them to produce silk with carbon structures similar to graphene. The samurai had accidentally created a biological nanomaterial factory. 1200 years before we discovered graphene. But if you think that's impossible, wait until you hear about the Roman armor that could repair itself. And I mean literally repair itself. While you were wearing it. But before that, I really need your help. We are on the way to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you like these documentaries and want to support me, just hit the subscribe button. It's free. Armor Piece 3. The Living Metal. Marcus Aurelius wrote about soldiers whose armor grew back after battle. Historians dismissed it as metaphor. They were wrong. Roman legionaries in Britain discovered something in the local iron. When mixed with blood, it did something impossible. The metal formed new crystals. Self-healing armor. Scratches would disappear overnight. Cracks would seal themselves. Modern metallurgists can't explain it. But that's not the weird part. The armor only worked for the original wearer. If someone else put it on, it would literally fall apart. The Romans thought it was cursed. The truth was stranger. The blood created a chemical bond. The armor recognized its owner. DNA analysis of surviving pieces shows traces of human genetic material embedded in the metal structure. The armor was partially biological. Roman records mention soldiers talking to their armor, naming it, because it responded. Temperature changes, flexibility adjustments, the armor adapted to threats. Soldiers reported it getting harder just before an arrow hit. Like it knew. The secret was bacteria. Specific strains that live in British bog iron. When combined with human blood, they create a symbiotic colony within the metal. The armor was alive. Romans stationed in Britain had a 300% higher survival rate than anywhere else in the empire. Not because of tactics, because of this living armor. But then soldiers started reporting nightmares. The same nightmare. Every soldier. They dreamed they were drowning in metal. Waking up, they'd find their armor had grown. New plates appearing overnight. The armor was evolving. One centurion, Lucius Artorius, wore his armor for 20 years straight. Never removed it. Couldn't remove it. It had fused with his skin. When he died, they tried to remove the armor for burial. It wouldn't come off. The metal had grown into his bones. His skeleton was partially iron. Modern scans show his bone density was 3 times normal. He was becoming the armor. The Roman emperor banned this armor in 127 AD. Ordered all pieces destroyed. But soldiers refused. They'd rather desert than give up their living protection. Entire legions disappeared into the British wilderness. Celtic legends talk about iron warriors who couldn't be killed, who didn't eat, didn't sleep, just patrolled ancient boundaries. Some say they're still there. In 2018, metal detectorists found something. Roman armor. Pristine. No rust. Still flexible. When they tested the metal, they found something impossible: active bacteria. Still alive after 2,000 years. The armor was still growing. The British Museum has it in deep storage. They won't display it. Workers report it makes sounds at night. Creaking. Like breathing. One researcher touched it with bare skin. Within seconds, the metal started bonding with him. They had to use industrial solvents to remove it. He still has iron-colored scars where it touched. The bacteria are trying to find a new host. But if living armor sounds like science fiction, the 4th piece makes it look primitive. Because this one didn't just protect the wearer, it made them superhuman. Armor Piece 4, the Strength Multiplier. Persian immortals weren't called that because they couldn't die. They were called that because of what their armor let them do. Lift 500 pounds. Run for 3 days without rest. Jump over cavalry horses. This wasn't legend. Greek historians documented it. Multiple independent sources. The armor used a system of springs and counterweights. Like an external muscular system. Every movement was amplified. Modern exoskeletons use the same principle. Except this was 500 BC. But the real innovation wasn't mechanical. The armor contained tubes filled with a specific liquid. When compressed, it hardened. When released, it flowed. Non-Newtonian fluid. In ancient Persia, the fluid was made from plant resins mixed with metallic particles. Under pressure, it could stop a spear. At rest, it was completely flexible. Persian immortals could dance in full armor. Alexander the Great captured this armor. His engineers spent years studying it. They discovered something that changed warfare forever. The fluid contained opium derivatives, absorbed through the skin during combat. The harder you fought, the more drugs entered your system. Pain disappeared. Fatigue vanished. You literally couldn't stop fighting. Until you died. Persian records show immortals fighting for 72 hours straight. No food. No water. Just continuous combat. When the armor was finally removed, they'd collapse. Most never woke up. The addiction rate was 100%. Once you wore the armor, you needed it. Without it, withdrawal killed you within days. The Persian Empire controlled its elite troops through chemical dependency. But that's not the darkest part. The armor changed your bones. The constant pressure and drug exposure caused rapid calcium deposits. Immortal skeletons were 40% denser than normal humans. They were literally becoming harder to kill. Archaeological evidence shows some immortals were over 7 feet tall. Not naturally. The armor's mechanical stress made their bones grow. Like forced evolution. The Persian emperor had an army of artificial giants. When Persia fell, the secret of this armor was supposedly lost. But medieval alchemists' texts mention the Persian formula. The Knights Templar were searching for it. They found something. Templar Knights' performance in battle defied logic. Dozen of knights defeating hundreds, moving in perfect synchronization. Like they shared one mind. Maybe they did. Recently discovered Templar documents describe armor that united the Brotherhood. Wearers could sense each other's movements, feel each other's pain. The fluid contained psilocybin compounds, microdosing psychedelics through skin absorption. Combined with the pressure-activated opiates, the Templars had created combat armor that induced controlled hallucinations. Shared hallucinations. They fought as one organism. When the French king destroyed the Templars, he specifically ordered all armor melted down. Except one set. He kept it for himself. That armor disappeared during the French Revolution. But the technology didn't die. Because the fifth and final piece of revolutionary armor took everything that came before and perfected it. Armor Piece 5. The Ultimate Evolution. The year is 1415. The Battle of Agincourt. English knights are outnumbered 5-1. They should have been slaughtered. They won. Decisively. French witnesses claimed the English were demons in steel. Arrows bounced off them. Swords shattered against them. This wasn't normal plate armor. The English had developed something called white armor. Not because of its color. Because of what it was made from. A metal that shouldn't have existed for another 500 years. Spring steel. With carbon nanostructures. Medieval smiths had accidentally discovered that burning specific woods with iron created microscopic carbon tubes in the metal. The armor was 90% lighter but 200% stronger. A full suit weighed less than modern riot gear. Knights could run full speed. Swim in armor. One account describes a knight climbing a castle wall. In full plate. Using only his gauntleted hands. The metal gripped stone like claws. But here's where it gets strange. This armor was only made in one location. A monastery in northern England. The monks who made it took vows of silence. They never revealed the process. When Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries, he sent soldiers to seize the armor-making facility. They found it empty. The furnaces destroyed. The monks had vanished. But they left something behind. Scratched into the walls. Mathematical equations. Molecular diagrams. Knowledge that wouldn't be discovered until the Industrial Revolution. The monks knew exactly what they were doing. Carbon dating of surviving armor shows impossible results. Some pieces contain isotopes that suggest they were made using nuclear processes. In the 1400s, one theory? The monks found something. Roman texts mention star metal that fell in Britain. Meteoric iron with unique properties. The armor might be partially extraterrestrial. Modern testing revealed traces of iridium, an element rare on Earth but common in asteroids. The monks were working with materials from space. And they knew it. Their equations describe orbital mechanics, planetary alignments. They were tracking when more star metal would fall. They were waiting for supplies. The last documented use of this armor was 1513, the Battle of Flodden. English forces, outnumbered 3-1, suffered virtually no casualties. Scottish arrows and swords were useless. After that battle, the armor disappeared. Every piece. Overnight. Like the Dendra panoply 3,000 years before. Someone was collecting it. In 1969, Neil Armstrong's personal effects included a medieval gauntlet. He claimed it was a family heirloom. NASA tested it. It was made of the same material as their heat shields. 5 pieces of armor. 5 technologies that shouldn't have existed. All mysteriously disappeared. All supposedly destroyed. But military contractors have been studying anomalous historical metallurgy since the 1950s. They found something. But that's a story that's still classified. If you want more untold history that changes everything you thought you knew, click on the channel icon and hit subscribe.